Morning. You brave and courageous souls who came back second week of Forgiveness Talk. My gosh, give yourselves a hand. Yay, you're here. This month is the power of forgiveness. And last week we talked about forgive us our trespasses. And then this morning we're talking about as we forgive. As we forgive. We talked about the truth that indeed all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. All of it. Because we have to remember that we are freeing ourselves from the past. That's really what we're doing. When we forgive anyone, we are freeing ourselves from the past. We are relinquishing the job of being the warden holding the key to a jail cell of a ghost. That's all there is, you know? The past doesn't exist only in our mind, only as a thought. And when we forgive that, we bring ourselves fully present. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the process of as we forgive. And so I must start where I started. Because this philosophy changed my life. The philosophy of the science of mind and spirit changed my life. I was born and I grew up in New York. And in that culture, or in my culture, or in my family culture, being born and raised in New York, everybody blamed everybody else for everything they were feeling. It was just the culture. That's just the way it was. You know, everybody blamed everybody for everything. And I don't know how it was in other parts of New York, or I don't know how it was in other families, cultures, or whatever. But this is the way I grew up. It was all about what she said, or what he did, or what they did, or what she might have said, or what I thought she meant by what she said. It was all up for judgment, all of it. And who do you think you are? You know, just who do you think you are? There was a lot of that went on. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? You know? Oh, I don't think so. You know, it was all about what was out there. You made me mad. He made me angry. That person disappointed me. It was all about out there, how it affected me, you know? No. I'm sorry. You do not get to piss off a Dutch girl and live to tell about it. You know what I mean? Was not going to happen. We never took responsibility. It was all on people, places, and things outside that affected us. None of us took responsibility for our own stuff. Everybody did it to us, you know? That's how I grew up. I was at the effect of the world. That was the world in which I grew up. Everybody was mad at everybody else for something. And people made us mad, you know? People made us happy. People made us angry. People made us whatever. It was always from the outside in. I was at the effect of the world until I discovered this teaching. Until somebody handed me this textbook. What an angel, right? What an angel. Someone handed me the textbook out of the clear blue. And it started changing my life. This teaching started changing my life. This philosophy that we are immersed in here brought my power back to me. You know, William Henley says, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This teaching uncovers that. This teaching gives us back to ourselves. The gift of this teaching is we know that our thoughts can change our lives. So I'm not at the effect of someone else's behavior. I'm not even at the effect of my perception of somebody else's behavior. I am able to recognize what's mine. So when somebody lights me up like a Christmas tree, you know that part, right? When somebody lights you up like a Christmas tree, the automatic response, my learned response from childhood was, go after them. They're the one that did it. They're the one that made me so mad. And the response we learn in this philosophy is, they may have pushed that button, but they didn't install it. It's been there for years. It's been there for years. All they did was go, and touch it and light me up. So our first response is to go within. Our first response is always to go within, to recognize what's mine. What's mine to own is mine to change. That's the powerful, powerful part of this philosophy. What's mine to own is mine to change. If I can recognize that, if it goes from the unconscious to the conscious, if I can recognize it as, oh my God, I'm doing it again, I can own it, I can change it. If I am able to observe without judgment, I can look outside myself and I can look inside myself. And I can clean up my side of the street. Isn't that a lovely thing to do? I can clean up my side of the street. Where's my unskilled behavior? What's my part in this? Yeah, that person may have pushed my button, but I installed that button probably when I was about 5 or 6 years old. You know, that's the abandonment button, or it's the betrayal button, or it's the loneliness button, or it's whatever. Whatever it is, I probably installed it years and years ago. So where am I going unconscious and blaming others for my emotional state? You know? Eckhart Tolle said this. He said, if small things have the power to disturb you, then who you think you are is exactly that, small. Ooh, ow, yeah, that hurts, right? Do you want me to say it again? If small things have the power to disturb you, then who you think you are is exactly that, small. So we must become bigger, and that's what this philosophy is about. We must become bigger if we are to experience the fullness of life's longing for itself through us. Because that's what this is about. That's what it is that Spirit's doing. It is living its life through us. We are life's longing for itself. So don't we want to give life a good time? You know, don't we want to give Spirit a thrill? We want to live the biggest, greatest, most expansive, authentic life of Spirit, individually expressed as us, that we can. And I remember we had a guest speaker years ago. He comes back periodically, Terry McBride. Does anybody remember him? He said, Spirit doesn't judge, right? Spirit doesn't judge. All Spirit does is say, you pick the game, I will play with you there. You pick the arena, I will play with you there. You want to pick lonely, I'll play with you there. You want to pick angry, I will play with you there. Spirit just shows up and says yes. You want to pick ill, I will play with you there. We get to hate, we get to love, we get to see things as black and white, right or wrong, up or down, us and them. Spirit doesn't judge. All it says is, you pick the playground, I will play with you there. It is up to us to have that greater idea of what our life is. I'm going back to Eckhart Tolle again. He said, whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Accept it as if you had chosen it, and always work with it and never against it. We're here to transform in those times. We are here to transform. So we are free to play in sickness or in wellness. We are free to play in the realm of fear or in the realm of love, peace or conflict. Spirit doesn't make that choice for us, and Spirit doesn't condemn us for the choice we make. It simply shows up in all of its power and all of its glory, and it plays with us there, wherever we decide to be. And since we're picking the game, we must resist the temptation to perceive ourselves as unfairly treated. Well, that takes a little bit of getting used to, doesn't it? Since we are the ones writing the script and writing in the characters and picking the game, we have to resist the temptation to perceive ourselves as unfairly treated. So this is where our forgiveness process is, right? We forgive ourselves. We forgive ourselves for the choices we made that maybe did not serve our highest and best good. We forgive others. As we forgive ourselves and others, we stand in the truth and not the conditions. When we are forgiving ourselves and others, we're standing in the truth. We're not standing in the condition. We're not standing in how it looks, what the facts are, the little facts. We're standing in truth, which is way bigger. Truth is eternal. We attract people into our lives who fulfill those roles, those requirements of the script we wrote out. So, you know, there's a story in the Talmud which talks about the Hebrews' journey out of Egypt. And you know where Moses parted the Red Sea, and the Hebrews went by, and then after a while, the sea starts coming together, and the Pharaoh's army is drowned. And the angels who are watching the scene look over, and they're about to break into song because the Egyptian army has gotten vanquished and the soldiers have drowned. And God silences his angels and says, "How dare you sing for joy when my children are dying?" See, God is the God of all of us. There is no us and them. There was never an us and them except in our own mind. We are one. There's only one God. We say that all the time, core concept one. There's only one of us. There's only one energy. It's individualized as all of us, but there is only one. So what blesses me blesses you. And what I curse comes back to curse me. We have to understand that this forgiveness, for what it is, it's an exercise. It's an exercise, it's a process about freeing ourselves from our own past, from our own writing. Like Eckhart Tolle said, just pretend like you called it in, whatever it is. Accept it like you had chosen it. So forgiveness process for us then is forgiving ourselves for maybe writing that, We must recognize those flare-ups, those times when we're outraged by somebody else's behavior for what they are. Buttons from the past. Things from the past that we have installed in ourselves. And we've invited somebody in, actually, to push them for us, haven't we? To remind us of where we need the healing. So a button gets pushed. We don't say, "How dare you?" Well, unless you're from New York, and then you do. But our buttons get pushed. We get lit up like Christmas trees. The first thought is, wow, where'd I get that from? How long has that been there? What's that all about? What is that all about? The question is, where did that come from? Where'd that button come from? When did I install that? And how do I dismantle it? How do I dismantle it? That's our choice point right there. We can be offended. We can be offended by anybody's anything out there, can't we? Just because we're offended doesn't mean it's offensive. Our button got pushed, ours. So our choice point is, when we get lit up like a Christmas tree, what the heck? When did I put that in there? Where did that come from? How old was I? How long ago? Who was I with? What was the situation? What was the scene? So that we can dismantle it. So that we can dismantle that button. Because we want to stand in all the glory of the healed, whole human, don't we? We just want to be that open and clear vessel that spirit can flow through into the conditions around our world. Well, we can't do that if we're busy being resentful and building walls against each other. So this is the place of our power, And we're not blaming and shaming ourselves. Thank you for that song, by the way. It was perfect. I love that. I love how spirit works. One mind. Giving up the blaming and shaming. We don't go, "Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why did I do that? Why did I think that?" We don't go into blame and shame. We go into that self-discovery. We go within. We ask the right questions. We heal what's in there. We don't blame and shame, because blaming and shaming is that endless cycle of "I'm not good. I'm not good." Not "I did an unskilled thing, but I'm a bad person." That's what blame and shame does. And so we wound up getting stuck in that endless loop of "I'm not good enough," and then I blame myself, and "I'm not good enough," and then I blame myself. So we break out of that loop, and we go within and say, okay, where did the button come from? Who was I? Where was I? How old was I? Who was I with? What was the event? Where did that start? How did I grow that button? And then we go set about the business of dismantling it. Not shaming, not blaming, but just self-discovery, the interior. What will it take for me to dismantle it? What kind of healing work do I have to do? Now, what do we do when somebody else's button gets pushed? Right? What do we do when we're with somebody and their button gets pushed maybe by something we've said, or maybe the situation, and they are all lit up like a Christmas tree in front of us? What do we do about that? As loving, forgiving, centered people, what do we do about that? We pull out our sign. And we pull out our sign, and when they're all upset and lit up like a Christmas tree, our sign says, we pull out our sign, we lean in, and we say, "Tell me more. They're all crazed, and upset and in anger and in disarray and in all this problem because of something we've done. We've done it to them, and they're all angry and upset. We lean in and we say, tell me more. And at the same time we're saying, tell me more, you know what the inside of the sign says? The sign that's reflecting back to you? This has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me. So you invite the person to share. What is upsetting you? What is it? Tell me more. All the while, you know this. You know this has nothing to do with you. You're there as a healing agent. You are there for the transformational moment. You are there to know the truth for them. Tell me more. This has nothing to do with me. This is the gift we give to others. This is our part of the forgiveness process. Instead of being offended when someone comes at us, we can lean in. Tell me more. We become part of the healing. Tell me more. Because we know it has nothing to do with us. It's their button. They installed it years ago, probably years before they even met us. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, not only should we forgive others, but we should equally forgive ourselves. Until we release all of our previous mistakes, failures, pain, suffering, we shall merely be monotonously repeating them today. A great deal of our trouble, both mental and physical, is built on the unconscious sense of rejection and guilt. It is necessary that each of us seek to complete forgiveness toward ourselves and others. This is a huge practice. This is the biggest thing we can do so that we are the blessing and we are blessed. It works both ways, right? We're in this life together. Yes, we are individualized expression, and that's the great thing. We are individualized. No two of us are alike. We're not cookie-cutter human beings. Spirit has sought to experience life individually as each one of us, and no two are alike. So we are here for a purpose. We are here to grow in that consciousness of, I am spirit expressing as Patti. We come into a teaching like this and we realize, we think, okay, we're spirit and human, right? That's how we begin to learn this philosophy. Oh, I'm spirit and I'm human. And it's like, and then after a while we get it. No, we're spirit as human. We are just spirit as human. It's just expressing through us and as us in the world. So together in spiritual community like this, we can recognize each other. We can grow in consciousness. We can heal our own wounds by having them bounce off each other. That's the gift we are to each other in community. We can heal ourselves by recognizing ourselves in others. The strengths, the challenges, all of it. There was a great quote I learned yesterday from the practitioner retreat, and this was it. It said, when I becomes we, even illness becomes wellness. Isn't that lovely? This is the strength and the power of a community like this. When I becomes we, even illness becomes wellness. This is what forgiveness does. This is why we come together in spiritual community, to grow in belief, to grow in faith, to grow in trust. Ernest Holmes said this. He says, whatever the mistakes of yesterday may have been, today is a new creation. Turning from the errors of the past, we no longer carry with us the sorrows and the mistakes of yesterday. Today we may enter into a new experience, but it is only when we forgive everyone that we may feel certain the weight of condemnation is lifted from our own consciousness. We should refuse to carry the negations of yesterday into the positive atmosphere of today. Today is the world made for our new experiences. And Ernest Holmes said it any number of ways. I like that one, but he said it in any number of ways. He said, refuse to carry the dead, rotting corpse of yesterday around with you on your shoulder, which I thought way more colorful. But, but it's true. We have to forgive because, in the end, it is ourselves that we are freeing when we forgive others. And so, how do we practice this? Every day, in every way, we are getting better and better. We come together in spiritual community to remind ourselves. We are a practical spirituality, so we have tools, right? We have tools to remind ourselves all the time. We have meditation, which is sitting in the silence. Just sitting in the silence with just, we describe it as sitting around waiting for nothing to happen. That's all we do. We sit in the silence for a few minutes, and we listen for perhaps that still small voice of God. We have affirmative prayer, which is standing in our power and directing the law on our behalf to do something to alter conditions around us. We have affirmations, right? We stand up at the end of every week and we say our affirmations. We ground in the truth of those affirmations. They are true, they are passionate, they are purposeful, they are in the present tense, and they speak the truth about us. There is visioning. We sit we put our own agendas aside and we listen for God's vision for our next step, knowing that truth, that good idea, that God idea is even better than our own good idea. And then we employ other things, and those other things help and remind us, and we use them as tools for our own spiritual health and growth. Tools like prayer beads, right? Like prayer beads, mala beads. They're reminders. There's nothing special about them. You can use anything. There's no power in them. The power is in us. They're simply a reminder. I wear them. It's like, oh yeah, time to pray. I use it and I say the mantra that Ernest Holmes always used to say. There is one life. It is God's life. It is perfect. It is my life now. On each bead, there is one life. It is God's life. It is perfect. It is my life now. And that's one of my practices. There are other tools for the journey. We have a bookstore full of them now. There are prayer beads. There are tokens. Some people carry things in their pockets, like a crystal. There's no extra power in a crystal. The power is within us. The power is within everything. God is in everything. So there's nothing special about that. What's special about it is you put your hand in your pocket and you grab it and you go, oh yes, I remember. Oh yes, I remember now. That's the power of the token, to remind us that the power is within us all the time. There's that story about the millionaire who was going to dinner with his friend, and he found a coin on the ground, and he picked it up, and he looked at it, and he held it, and looked at both sides, and put it in his pocket, and went into dinner. And his friends just could not let it go. They just couldn't get it out of their minds. They couldn't stop thinking about it. So right during dinner, they were like, okay, come on, you're a millionaire. What's the point? It's like, why did you stop and pick up that penny? And he said, oh, no, it's not about the money. What does it say on it? And he held the coin down. It says, in God we trust. So it was put on my path to remind me to trust God. So I pick them up all the time, anytime I see them, because it's like, aha, thank you, I remember. Thank you, I remember. Trust God. So that's what all of these things are for. They're all tools for us to use. The things have no power in them. Nothing special. No more special than anything else. The power is all around us. The power is within us. The power is ours to use and align with. Another tool is the gap. The gap, God's area of preparation. So that when someone does light you up, you go, and just wait. Just wait. Give yourself the gift of the gap. God's area of preparation before you react, before you get lit up like a Christmas tree. Give yourself the gift of the gap. God's area of preparation. What is true about this moment? What is true about me in this moment? Is it my stuff? Is it his stuff? Is it my stuff? Is it their stuff? We stop, we give ourselves that moment, and we remember who we are. Ernest Holmes said, yes, it is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. The darkness in our life is dissolved when we light that candle of understanding, forgiveness, love, and truth. Darkness has no power over light, but light does have the power over darkness. Hate has no power over love, but love does dissipate hate. Fear cannot destroy faith, but faith can annihilate fear. Every time we remember who we are, we're standing in the light. Every time we remember who we are, we're standing in the truth of our being. We are the 21st century paradigm of wellness. That's what this philosophy is. It is the 21st century paradigm of wellness. It's us being willing to do things differently, being willing to stand in the truth of our own being. The old paradigm of forgiveness was what? Letting people off the hook and then resenting the hell out of it for the rest of our lives, right? Damn it, they got away with it. That's not what we're practicing. We are actively letting go of our story to free ourselves from the past. And then we find out we're the ones that were free all along. We just have to free ourselves from the thought. I'm going to end with this. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, "Let us practice forgiving, always remembering that we must include ourselves in the process." Just think of all the hatred and resentment we have held against ourselves because we've been disappointed in ourselves. We feel we're weak and we feel we're unworthy. When we have projected this thought onto others, now we're going to discharge the whole burden by forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. We all need forgiveness. God doesn't hold anything against us. Therefore, we never need to worry about our relationship with God. But in order that that love be fulfilled, we must lavish it, expend it on others, on all those around us. In order for that love to be fulfilled, we must lavish it on others. It shouldn't be difficult to learn to love the world. And what a joy to find the world loving us. This love adds to love and goodness to goodness. Peace begets peace, and understanding creates understanding and right relationship with each other as we forgive. Thank you so much.